and knowledge within themselves to overcome fear and obstacles as they exceed their goals and become directors of their own movie. This movie is called Life. Born in Panama City, Panama, a 10-year veteran and former captain of the Harlem Globetrotters, Kevin has carried his message worldwide in English and Spanish. As soon as I read Kevin's bio, I knew that he was the right fit for us. He was the one whom I felt more connected with and that could really grasp and understand what our program means to our students and the adversities, and someone who could understand the adversities and the barriers that our students have faced. Also, I would like to add that in one of our initial email exchanges, right before he accepted today's commitment, I wrote something like, "The heavens parted and blessed us with you," or something to that effect. Yes, I went there. I remember my excitement in reading my message to Sergio, and that look he gave me, like, and this is exactly what it is. OMG, no you didn't. That is so dorky, Miss B. I beat Sergio, no mind. Trusted my instinct and hit that send button. And guess what? Kevin is here to share his gift with all of us this morning. There. Kevin, I thank you for being so open and willing to join us this morning, and for bringing your positive spirit to our fabulous student honorees. This means more than you can ever imagine. Thank you so much for sharing your talent with us. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kevin Daley.
Thank you, Blanca, for that lovely introduction. I learned from my man right here. How you guys doing? Pretty good? I want to thank you guys for having me here today. It is truly, truly an honor. I didn't know anything about the program before I spoke to Blanca, but I did my research and I was overwhelmed, and it's such a wonderful program. And I've been talking to a couple of you guys, and I'm very, very, truly happy to be here. I came to try to inspire you guys, but I think I'm leaving inspired myself, which is pretty good. But today is a day of celebration, okay? A lot of you guys have accomplished something that many don't. And you did it under certain circumstances that most people don't even have to go through. There were roadblocks in front of you, but you just ran straight past them. You ran by them, you just broke through them. So I'm very proud of you for that. It was Napoleon Hill that once said, "Victory is always possible for the person who refuses to stop fighting." You guys refused to stop fighting. Okay? Maybe you didn't have the support from your family while you was going through this, but you said, "You know what, I have to do this because this is what's best for me. This is what's gonna make my future better. With me doing this, graduating, getting a certificate, whatever it is that you did, this is gonna help your future." And it's helping you, but even if you did have family that wasn't supporting you, it's also helping them. And I want to tell you that although you might not know it, somebody is watching you. Maybe you have kids and they're watching what you're doing. And if at any moment they have to make a decision, should I go to school or should I do this? They're going to think back and see what you did, and it's going to motivate them to hopefully do the same thing and go to school. So you should be proud because somebody is watching you right now. And let me tell you, I played basketball for a living. I played 10 years with the Harlem Globetrotters, 14 years total. And I never knew that through a basketball, something that I love to do, even if I wasn't getting paid for it, I'll still be at the park playing anyway. So I just got lucky that I got paid for something that I was going to be doing every day anyway. So I never knew that a basketball was going to motivate so many people. One time, after one of my games, I was signing autograph, and I treated this lady just like I treat anybody else, kindness, and I thank, every day I'm amazed when somebody asks me for my autograph. So I was giving her autograph, talking to her, interacting with her. That same night she went home, she wrote me an email, and in that email she said, I battled cancer 3 times in my life, and the way you treated me, the way you made me feel at your game was so great that if it's the last thing I do, I can go happy. And that right there, I never thought that I would be able to do for somebody through the game of basketball. Okay, so what I'm saying is you guys are doing the same thing for somebody even if you don't know it. You might not know, but you are inspiring somebody. Okay? And maybe you didn't have the money to go through it, but you found a way to do it anyway. You found a way to do it. And that's what it's all about. You had a goal, you wanted to do it, you found a way to do it. Maybe you took time away from your kids. And I can relate. I have a 9-year-old daughter. Her name is Katie. Unfortunately for her, she looks like me. But she is a very beautiful young lady. And like I said, she's 9 years old. And for the last 10 years, I've been with the Globetrotters and traveled to 97 countries. So if you do the math, 10 years, she's 9. So a lot of the times, I was away traveling. And that was very, very tough for me. But it was what I chose to do. It was what was best for me. It was what was going to help me feed her. So what I did was figure out a way to make it better. I wasn't going to change the fact that I was playing and traveling. So what I did is I made a promise to myself that no matter where I was, that every single day I would find a way to talk to my daughter or communicate in some way. And I tell you, in 10 years traveling, there were probably 5 times or 5 days that I wasn't able to talk to her because I did everything possible to get a phone. And those 5 times, it was because maybe I was traveling for 24 hours or the connection at the hotel wasn't right. So Israel, Australia, Egypt, no matter where I was, I found a way to communicate with my daughter. And that's what you have to do. If you're faced with certain circumstances, if you can't change them, you find a way around them. You find a way around them. And I tell you, in my travels, I've talked to many people, everyday people, celebrities, different cultures, different races. And one thing that I found that every single one of them had in common is that at some point in their life, they had to overcome adversity. It is something that we cannot escape. And if it's something that we are going to be faced with, we got to find a way to deal with it. You can't cave in. We cannot escape it, so you can't cave in. All right, and myself, I had to face adversity a few times in my life. The biggest one I had to face happened when I was just 3 years old. It's the biggest one. And I tell you, it has affected my life tremendously to this day. I'm 37 now, so it's 30 plus years. It has affected my relationship with women. It has affected my friendships. It has affected everything. In 1979, November of 1979, was when my mother decided to commit suicide. And although I was only 3 years old, I don't remember it. I don't have one memory of my mom whatsoever. But I was angry at her for many, many years because I felt that she took something away from me that only she could give me, which was the love from my mother. And I felt that she did that to me, so I was angry. And maybe about 3 years later, a friend of mine told me, no, your mom, she did that for you and your two brothers. And I said, how can that possibly be? She said she was going through some things emotionally. She didn't know how to handle it. So she didn't want to hurt you guys, so she did what she did to save you guys from herself. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that helped me deal with it a little better. You know, today I'm able to talk about it. It took me 30 plus years to be able to even talk about it. You know, kids used to ask me all the time about my mom. You know, like she said, I was born in Panama, came to the United States when I was 12. And kids used to ask me about my mom, and I always say she was in Panama. I just couldn't do it. But now I'm able to talk about it. I'm actually writing a book. My life stories will be out soon, so I'm very excited. But that was something that I had to overcome throughout my entire life. Very, very, very difficult. And I gotta tell you, after talking to these people and reading a few books and doing my own research about dealing with adversity, there were 3 key points that I wanted to talk to you guys about on how to deal with adversity. The first one is, you cannot let your past dictate your future. Okay, that's very important. One thing that I really, really hate, and I don't know if you guys have heard this, I'm pretty sure you've heard it, when somebody says, you know, oh, I'm from the hood, and that's just how it is, because you're from there. How many of you guys have ever heard that? You know, many of you guys, right? Well, because the people around you have not lived up to their full potential does not mean that you can't. Okay? That does not mean that you can't. So you cannot let your past or your surroundings dictate your future. You just can't do it. Focus on what's ahead of you and on achieving what you want to achieve in spite of your past. Having a difficult past can make a successful future even more rewarding. How many of you guys have went through something, but once you went through it and you achieved what you want to achieve, it just felt that much better? You know, it just like, oh my God, I can't believe it was hard, but I did it, you know what I mean? And you probably wouldn't feel the same way if it was easy. Nah, I don't want to, I'm not saying, hey, just look for the hard road so you can feel a lot better later. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that it's going to happen at some point, and just weather the storm, because there's going to be sunshine behind. Okay? Now, let me tell you a story. Like I said, I came to the United States when I was 12 years old. I went to Lusinger High School, half of my high school years, and graduated from Artesia High School in '95. Played 2 years at UCLA, and I played my last 2 years at Azusa Pacific in Azusa, California. But the years at UCLA, they were very, very difficult for me. The school was wonderful, I loved it. The weather was great. The beautiful young ladies were beautiful. But I was going through some stuff on the basketball team. See, when I came, there was a coach that brought me in, and he happened to get fired in the midst of me being there. Now, the coach that took over somehow kind of fired me too. And I had nothing to do with it, you know. So, you know, my goal was always, people always ask me, hey, do you wish that you played for the NBA? And my goal was never to make it to the NBA. My goal was just to get paid to play basketball. That's all I wanted. I didn't care who was going to pay me. My first check ever for playing basketball was $1,000. And I ran to my apartment. It was in Costa Rica. I ran to my apartment and I looked at the check and I cried because I accomplished one of my goals. And it was only $1,000, but it was my goal to get paid. And somebody said, here, for playing basketball. Now, when I was at UCLA, that was my goal. I want to get paid for this. And this coach, for some reason, was getting in between me and my goal.